Welcome to Wake Up to the Bible. I'm Daniel Kaplan. I'm here with my father, Dr. Kaplan, and we're going through the books of the Bible, Genesis through Deuteronomy, over the course of this year. We do a little bit every day. Today we're going to be reading Genesis 30:28 through 31:16. So about a chapter or so. I'll be reading from the Robert Alter translation, and then we'll be discussing. All right. And he said, "Name me your wages, that I may give them." And he said to him, "You know how I have served you, and how your livestock has fared with me. For the little you had before my time has swollen to a multitude, and the Lord has blessed you on my account. And now, where shall I too provide for my household?" And he said, "What shall I give you?" And Jacob said, "You need give me nothing if you will do this thing for me. Let me go back and herd your flocks and watch them. I shall pass through all your flocks today and remove from them every spotted and speckled animal and every dark-colored sheep and the speckled and spotted among the goats, and that will be my wages. Then my honesty will bear witness for me in the days to come when you go over my wages. Whatever is not spotted and speckled among the goats and dark-colored among the sheep shall be accounted stolen by me." And Laban said, "Let it be just as you say." And he removed on that day the spotted and speckled he-goats, and all the brindled and speckled she-goats, every one that had white on it, and every dark-colored one among the sheep, and he gave them over to his sons. And he put 3 days' journey between himself and Jacob, while Jacob herded the remaining flocks of Laban. And Jacob took himself moist rods of poplar and almond and plane tree, and peeled white strips in them, laying bare the white on the rods. And he stood the rods he had peeled in the troughs in the water channels from which the flocks came to drink, opposite the flocks which went into heat when they came to drink. And the flocks went into heat at the rods, and the flocks bore brindled, spotted, and speckled young. And the sheep Jacob kept apart. He placed them facing the spotted and all the dark-colored in Laban's flocks, and he set himself herds of his own, and he did not set them with Laban's flocks. And so, whenever the vigorous of the flocks went into heat, Jacob put the rods in full sight of the flocks in the troughs for them to go into heat by the rods. And for the weaklings of the flocks he did not put them, and so the feeble ones went to Laban, and the vigorous ones went to Jacob. And the man swelled up mightily, and he had many flocks, and female and male slaves, and camels, and donkeys. And he heard the words of Laban's son, saying, "Jacob has taken everything of our fathers, and from what belonged to our father he had made all this wealth." And Jacob saw Laban's face, and look, it was not disposed toward him as in times past. And the Lord said to Jacob, "Return to the land of your fathers, and to your birthplace, and I will be with you." And Jacob sent and called Rachel and Leah to the field to his flocks, and he said to them, "I see your father's face, that it is not disposed towards me as in time past, but the God of my father has been with me. And you know that with all my strength I have served your father. But your father has tricked me and switched my wages 10 times over. Yet God has not let him do me harm. If thus he said, the spotted one will be your wages, and all the flocks bore spotted ones. And if he said, the brindled ones will be your wages, all the flocks bore brindled ones. And God has reclaimed your father's livestock and given it to me. And so, at the time when the flocks were in heat, I raised my eyes and saw in a dream, and look, the rams mounting the flocks were brindled, spotted, and speckled. And God's messenger said to me in the dream, 'Jacob.' And I said, 'Here I am.' And he said, 'Raise your eyes, pray and see, all the rams mounting, the flocks are spotted, brindled, and speckled, for I have seen all that Laban has been doing to you. I am the God who appeared to you at Bethel, where you anointed a pillar and made me a vow. Now rise, leave this land, and return to the land of your birthplace.' And Rachel and Leah answered, and they said to him, 'Do we still have any share in the inheritance of our father's house? Why, we have been counted by him as strangers, for he has sold us, for he has wholly consumed our money. For whatever wealth God has reclaimed from our father is ours, and our children's, and so whatever God has said to you, do.'" All right, so that wraps up that section there. Some interesting things going on, some quirky things going on. Um, what comes to mind as you get through this interesting account?
It would seem divine intervention here, and Jacob had his role to play, but it was more of a symbolic thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like sympathetic magic that because he did this, therefore it happened. It was a matter that evidently in verse chapter 31, it would seem God revealed to him that he would perform this miracle, and Jacob did this symbolic act as maybe a sign of his confidence that it would happen or something like that. For example, Naaman is told to dip 7 times in the
Right.
Jordan. Well, is that going to get rid of leprosy?
Right.
So sometimes some symbolic action is done as your way of saying, yes, I believe you're going to do this for me. Even when Jesus had a blind man, he put mud, put clay in his eyes and had him go to the pool of Siloam and rinse out his eyes. Why did he have to do that? God, he could have healed his blindness without that. So I wouldn't take this as sympathetic magic that the Bible believes in that. I would take this is Jacob's way of performing an act showing that he believes that God will do this for him.
Gotcha. And you wouldn't take it as like animal husbandry, like some sort of genetic practice? Some people do take it that way.
Yeah,
I agree, though. When you look at 31, it looks like it does look rather supernatural. It doesn't seem. It starts out not sounding supernatural, and then his explanation seems to be supernatural. So, but it is interesting because the way that Robert Alter translates it, you could get the impression that Jacob was just smart at figuring out how to pair up good breeding stock with each other, and perhaps the whole stripping the tree was somehow attracting them or things like that. There's lots of different things you can get out of it that doesn't have to be some sort of superstitious thing. It could be some sort of scientific sort of thing.
But there's this vision that he sees.
Oh yeah, no, I understand that, right? And so the vision definitely plays a part. I guess the question is the vision indicating that it's completely supernatural, or is the vision giving him information that will actually be beneficial? I guess you could look at it either way. I guess.
Right. That's fine. I don't have a.
It's not like Jacob had a natural insight for genetic engineering. He was given some sort of insight is at the very least. If not, like to your point, maybe all of this is just ritual. It's like when the person has to gather up the pots to boil the oil or something like that. It's just something you're doing in order to show your belief.
Yeah, I wouldn't discount the animal husbandry part of it, and I know there are those who look at it that way.
Right. Like I said, the way Robert Alter translates it, particularly, it gives you the idea that he's really kind of being investigative of, what's the better breeding stock and stuff like that. Shrewd.
It is a problem with minorities, the Chinese in Indonesia and the Jews in many areas. They're the other, and yet they're doing better than the average majority person. So there's this envy that develops.
Right.
I remember talking to a friend of mine when I was a teenager, and I said, this fellow that was speaking to us seemed to be kind of resentful that Jews were doing well. I said, a lot of non-Jews are doing well. And so he told me, yeah, but see, they're entitled to it. and we're not.
Right.
Yeah, so
it's not supposed to work out for you.
Yeah.
No, very true. Yeah, it is unfortunately something that happens.
Right.
Now, what you'll find that's interesting is I was talking about it a couple episodes ago. The person who makes the deal first is the winner. That's what happens here. Laban does not handle this shrewdly. He says to Jacob, make me an offer, and Jacob makes him an offer, and he's the winner. So I'm just saying, generally works well. What I think is interesting though is to what you were just saying. It almost seems like he's deliberately trying to set him up for thinking this is like a good deal because he's picking the animals that you wouldn't like as much, and it turns out that's actually the better way to go. Yeah. That there's been some discriminatory practices regarding the animals. Right. So that's interesting. And again, let's get to Christology. You have the divvying up of goats, right? So you can do something with that too. You got some parables about that later on. So that's kind of fun to throw that in there.
And we see that the sisters are loyal to their husband.
Yes.
They have been mistreated by their father, frankly. He's
Yeah,
a
right.
rather mercenary sort of a guy.
I love how it's like he switched my wages 10
Yeah.
times over, and then they're like, yeah, and he spoiled all our inheritance. It's like, yeah.
And then Rachel later on feels justified in doing something that she shouldn't have done. But
Yeah.
we'll get to that.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. Counted by him as strangers, for he has sold us. It's like, it's pretty harsh. They basically are like, well, we were an asset to him. He got his money off of us, and now he wants nothing to do with us. He's just an incredibly, like you said, mercenary, money grubby sort of person.
Now, the angel of God in verse 11, most English translations put a capital A there, I would suppose, thinking this is, in effect, the pre-incarnate Jesus Christ.
Interesting.
This is the Logos, and this is who wrestles with him later.
Well, he does say, "I'm the God who appeared to you at Bethel," and that does seem to be God.
Yeah, right.
At the top of the top of the ramp, you know.
And he wrestles with him later.
Yeah. So that means that's the third time then, right? Right?
No, he spoke to him in a dream. It's not quite the same as.
No, but I mean, but right. But let's just kind of say these are pre-incarnate visions, right? So you have the one at Bethel, then you have this one, and then we'll see him at the river, and that's the third time, right? I think.
Well, in the Bethel version, just the angels are there.
No, it says he's at the top. It says God's at the top.
Oh yeah, okay, good point.
Yeah.
Right.
So he sees something.
Yeah, right. There you go.
Because how could he be at the top, right? Yeah, he has some whatever it is, whatever he's seeing, he has the vision of God at the top.
Yeah.
And then this would be the second time. And then you would have a third.
Unless there's the Lord stood above again.
Yeah, right. And so then this would be the second time. And I don't think there's another one that comes up before the wrestling, is there?
No, I don't think so.
I don't know. We're not going to get to that this week. We'll find out. But if not, of course, 3. Nice little Trinitarian thing. Make of that what you will. All right. Anything else before we move on to the Great Escape? Anything else there?
No.
All right, so we'll talk about that Great Escape tomorrow. In the meantime, please like, subscribe, hit the bell, and we will be going through the law this year. It's a great year to do it. Get some friends involved. Call your friends. Call your neighbors. Put up a little flyer at Panera Bread. Whatever you need to do. And we'll see you tomorrow.